Hey, sports fans, Coach Nick here, and welcome to the B-Ball Breakdown live show / podcast / insanity with Jared Weiss. This is what it looks like, by the way, when you spend all day trying to do a Kemba video, and I was struggling with my computer and crashing, losing all my clips, and having to rewatch it again. I've watched 700 Kemba clips today, and this is what you look like when it happens. So, Jared, don't ever do that if you're smart.
Well, I'm not smart, so it won't be a problem.
All right. But by the way, there were some Kyrie clips in there too. I had to watch a whole bunch of times too. And I think what better place to start than with this free agency thing? And I don't think anyone believed it was going to be as crazy as they said it was going to be until it was. But let's start with Kyrie, KD, who am I forgetting? DeAndre Jordan in Brooklyn of all places. Go.
So actually, DeAndre's deal finally got worked out according to Woj like 5 minutes ago.
Okay.
So DeAndre is coming in on a 4-year, $40 million deal, which means that they're going to be executing a sign and trade with the Knicks apparently. So it's going to be really interesting to see how that materializes. I think that they would probably be doing the full non-taxpayer MLE, so that would keep them over the cap. I'm actually still trying to figure out how exactly they would.
But who are they going to send back? Jared Allen?
No, they would just give back a second round pick or something like that, because the Knicks have cap space, so they can just sign him and send him over. But I don't understand how it works. Whatever.
Yeah.
It works now. They'll figure it out.
I thought the money had to match within 25% or whatever, but
yeah, but there's certain things with like base year compensation for tax, whatever. It's
right. Because by the way, if he gets $10 million a year and then Jared Allen's only making 2.3, it doesn't even work anyway. So then it's like, yikes, are they going to give him like Karis LeVert or something like that? And that would be interesting too. But
they're not going to move any of those guys. But
right. I hope not.
And who knows what LeVert's future is going to be with this team? But the Nets are stacked. They're going to be really good this year, and the next year the question is how quickly can KD recover and become, can they become a title contender? But Kyrie, I think, has pretty similar situation to what he had last year, except that maybe the conflict of just all the guys in Boston that thought they deserved to be stars at this point you're not going to have the same dynamic in Brooklyn. Not to mention they have Spencer Dinwiddie there, so his backup, as opposed to Terry Rozier, who was really unhappy that he was getting stuck as a backup. You have Dinwiddie, who just signed on to be a backup, and Dinwiddie was the one that recruited Kyrie and has been tweeting some amazing gifts. So this situation, chemistry-wise, might work really well for him. But I mean, the Celtics situation presented itself pretty cleanly to him, and he kind of made the worst of that. And I have an update in a sec. And just things kind of went wrong there. Apparently, according to Ramona and Woj, Kyrie and KD are going to take a bit of a haircut on their max so that DeAndre can get a $10 million salary.
Right. That's what I figured as well. You know what? By the way, it's funny. I just now looking at Spencer Dinwiddie in his timeline, friend of the breakdown. And yes, he used the Elmo with the fire behind him and with good effect. I think they have a really great team now because they were sixth in the conference and they made the playoffs, a really nice start. And they were dealing with some injuries even then and guys trying to come back and get fitted together. So fully healthy without KD. And you replaced, I guess, Russell. What's the story with Russell at this point?
So what can I report at this point? D'Angelo Russell is definitely leaving Brooklyn, and it looks like he's going to Minnesota. I guess I can say that at this point. It looks like he's going to Minnesota.
Yeah, but how Minnesota can't do that deal unless they move Wiggins, right?
I'm pretty sure it has to be Wiggins, and I don't know how far down the road they are to pulling that off at this point. And by the time we're done with this, I might have that, and I'm sure a national reporter will probably beat me to it anyway. So we'll see what happens, but that's something that's going to probably get done within the next 24 to 48 hours.
Right, because either way, D'Angelo Russell is an unrestricted free agent, so he could just sign wherever he wanted to do anyway, right?
Yeah, they're not, because to do what Brooklyn's doing, they have to let go of his RFA. So every team is operating with the understanding that he is unrestricted. The Lakers were a huge variable here because so much is just coming down to what Kawhi's decision is going to be, and Kawhi is apparently going to slow walk this process, and it seems like he is kind of walking through the meetings. I don't know. I'll be in LA tomorrow to join you there, and I know that D'Lo is in LA and Kawhi is in LA, so hopefully we'll get everything figured out on the ground there.
Well, why don't we go drive around a little bit and try and find him?
I
Remember
think I
that kid
can.
that did that, like in LA? He tracked him, and he did. He actually tracked some of these guys down in some of their meetings a few years ago, and we should try and do that. It'd be funny. Okay, so the Kawhi thing is weird. I had this premonition about a week ago or 5 days ago that he was going to stay in Toronto. It just kind of felt like that was right, and I was living with that for a couple days, and it felt good. The Lakers became a thing all of a sudden, and now for whatever reason, I'm really intrigued, and I think that must be why he's intrigued because I can't understand why he would take any longer than the minimum amount of time to make this decision. Kawhi Leonard is the kind of guy that'd be like, up as soon as we can do it, let's just make the decision and go. Right? It doesn't seem like him to drag this process out.
No, I don't think that's true. I think it's a very hard decision for him. I think he needs to be really sold by these LA teams to feel like he makes the best decision possible. I don't think for him it's a decision on getting sold to LA. I think it's that he most likely has made up his mind about whether or not he really does want to go to LA. And then it's really a matter of can the Lakers convince him that it is going to be the right situation for him because the Clippers are already a pretty good situation for him as they're constituted. Although I have to go double check this, I don't think there's unless Clay is gonna walk on the Warriors, but Clay's hurt too.
Right.
I'm trying to figure out who would he join at this point with the Clippers that would really make it worthwhile for him, unless the Clippers are confident they're going to be able to somehow trade for another big star.
Right.
He already has something great in Toronto.
Yeah. Now, really quickly, we have our first super chat. So thank you already so much, XWF BS Media. Jimmy Butler to the Heat, about time, because we definitely have to get to that too. Now, as far as I'm concerned, Klay Thompson, it was already reported he's going to re-sign with the Warriors, and the numbers already came out. Did I dream that, or that happened?
So that did happen, but the fact that there hasn't really been movement on that tonight is definitely concerning, especially because KD made his announcement a while ago, and like people were finding out. It's been almost 5 hours since people started finding out. So Golden State has had their chance to get everything closed off, and not to mention if they already agree to give him that full max, then there's not much for Clay to think about at this point.
Right. So you're thinking that, okay, which also goes to my Kawhi thing, because it just feels like at this point that this silence, there's nothing coming from Kawhi's camp, means something, right? I can't even quite figure out what it means, but it has to mean something. And I kind of feel like what it means is the longer this goes, every minute that goes by, the less likely he's staying in Toronto.
That's so. I've been hearing that
Say
there's a
it.
good
Say what you
concern
hear.
around. Yeah, well, you have to be responsible, but it's also a live show, and I want to make it enjoyable. But, and I don't know for sure. I definitely don't know what his plan is. And if I'm not on the Kawhi beat, so I'm not really qualified. But you hear things from around the league, obviously. But I think that Kawhi is just one of those guys that no matter what you hear, you're not really certain. I think I saw Ramona talking about this on the Jump about like how you hear all these things during free agency, but you have to be a responsible journalist and you don't report it until you've heard it from multiple places and you have some significant confidence. And so, as much as I'm hearing that Kawhi wants to go to LA, and that's something that people have been reporting for a while now, and people continue to report as a strong possibility after the Raptors win the title. Kawhi is just known for keeping a circle down to like a couple people that he shares his actual feelings with. And so I think it's a lot of guessing or a lot of playing telephone. And that's how some of these things work, where a lot of the time your source is like a friend of a friend of the person, or is like a friend of the brother, which
Right.
is still like there's several degrees of filtering there. I try to do with my sources generally like third degree at the most. So it's like they're a friend of the person, so or maybe that's second degree, I don't know, but like you have to have talked to someone that would have been hearing it firsthand, and you have to have a trustworthy track record. And so
Right.
it's really hard to find enough of those people to verify any star player, and then especially enough of those people to do it with somebody like Kawhi. It's really hard, and only like the most plugged in reporters can really pull that off.
For sure, for sure. And then if you don't get it right, you're in a doghouse for a long time. We have another super chat. Thank you to Wiz Blue for saying or asking, is D Rose a good fit in Detroit? I kind of just laughed when I saw that signing just because it was sort of random out of the blue. I don't think anyone had been talking about Derrick Rose at all. And I thought that was fascinating that they got him. I don't think he moves the needle either way for Detroit. They still have Reggie Jackson, right? I don't know what that means for them. Does it do anything for them?
it's almost like they have two Reggie Jacksons now. It's pretty funny. This is just another example of Detroit acquiring another, rotation player that doesn't really make sense. It doesn't really move the needle for them. I just don't get why they're doing it. Also, hola mi amigo Rocco PC on Twitter hit us up from Buenos Aires. But yeah, so with Rose, it's just like it's another guy that doesn't have upside to him, and like Rose is like still at the tail end of his prime, so he could continue to play pretty well, but he doesn't really move the needle for them being able to shoot for one, which is like a huge thing for them. Have one really good shooter and Luke Kennard. It's pretty much it, and he's not really like the guy that makes a difference. Like he's not like a high risk, buy low, high reward kind of guy. I just don't get it.
Right. Sometimes you just do a move, to be in the conversation, to get somebody that like had a name that people recognize. And it kind of felt like Detroit didn't want to be left out of anything. That's what they did. It was kind of like what the Julius Randle signing was to some degree, because the Knicks had their hopes on Kawhi Leonard. They had they still have their hopes on him, which I don't think is ever going to happen. But they also thought maybe KD. So instead, they grabbed Julius Randle, which now correct me if I'm wrong. Had that been reported much before? Had anyone even mentioned the idea about Julius Randle going to New York?
That was a shocker to me. I at least for that figure, I just didn't see that coming.
What was the number again? Do you remember?
Hold on, I got it here somewhere.
Get it up. You're the man.
Yeah, but so I didn't think that he would be there just because it doesn't really fit like their end goal. And by the way, he's getting 21 million on average. That's not right, but it's a 3-year, $63 million deal. Oh, that's 21 million. Wow. Okay. But the second year is a team option, and they're gonna, unless Julius transforms into a huge star in this role, they're definitely gonna decline that.
Okay, fair enough. Now, by the way, I think he's really good. I mean, he is a 2010 machine, and regardless of the fact he doesn't shoot from the outside very well, he started to show signs with that clunky jump shot. He can produce. Defensively, he doesn't, but he balances it out with what he can do on the offensive end. So I'm not saying, there's something there they could work with, but definitely was the door prize to Kevin Durant or whoever else they were hoping to get. What else are we talking about here? Anything else we have in the questions in the comments? Yeah.
Do you think that Brooklyn is a serious contender?
At this point? Well, okay, they've improved, right? I think they're going to be better. I think Kawhi or Kyrie will make them better than D'Lo in theory. I like that. I think that works better. And then plus they've added the other guy. Well, Durant not yet, but they've added. Is it only me, or do you want to see Jared Allen and DeAndre Jordan on the floor together?
Just to have like the least shooting offense.
Right. Well, no. Well, can't we have them on the floor together when they play the Sixers? Then they can put Embiid and Horford together, and then see what happens.
Have you ever heard?
Yeah, we have to get to that too. So, okay, there were 6th place before. They probably should have been like 5th because I think if Karis LeVert hadn't gotten hurt and missed all that time, they probably would have been a little bit better. So let's just say like that makes them at least 3rd in the conference. I think they could jump up a couple spots maybe, and we don't know. Again, Toronto will drop if Kawhi leaves. So they're better. But I don't know if 3rd in the East is like a title contender. However, the East is now really, really good. Is it better than the West?
I think so. Because Indiana is like, they've really fortified themselves with that Malcolm Brogdon signing.
Yeah, but they lost everybody else.
Well, they lost Thad Young.
Yeah, and they lost Bojan.
But they who did they get that I'm forgetting here? God damn it, I had something. They got Jeremy Lamb also, who's
right.
Good. Yeah, but I feel like Indiana could be, and don't forget they're getting Oladipo back and healthy, so I feel like they could be
that's true. Okay.
So yeah, that was interesting. Goran Dragic going to Dallas, which is just starting to materialize right now. That means I think Dallas could make a pretty nice jump into being like a mid-tier playoff team next year if Porzingis really is as healthy as I think he's going to be. Mm-hmm. And I can tell you, I saw Porzingis working out at the end of the year up close, and he looked really scary. He wasn't really all the way back yet, but he looked big and powerful and close to what he used to be. So,
wait, good. Finish that, because you almost sound like you said he looked scared, but you said he looked scary?
Scary.
Good. Okay. Yeah. Okay, that's good to know. I mean, listen, we all know that kind of injury, people come back usually better than they were before, I think. That's sort of what we say, right?
Sometimes, yeah.
All right.
I mean, depends if you're 7'3" or not.
Yeah, fair enough. But either way, I would be surprised if he didn't come back, looking great. And he certainly had plenty of time to rehab at this point. So, yeah, you're right. Dallas is looking really good. Now, if Dragic goes there, then it's interesting because he is a sort of a ball-dominant point guard, but can he I suppose he could play off of Doncic pretty well.
I don't really think of him as a ball dominant point guard. I think of him as like more of like a kind of downhill attacking point guard that can really work well. And of course, we know for a fact that he and Doncic are great together, so you don't need to worry about that fit. We just saw them win in Europe together, so
Right.
that's not really a concern.
Super chat from Canada, no less. We love Canadians. Mirzit Kadrich asks, where do you see Kawhi next year? So we did talk about Kawhi for a second, but we didn't really even opine of where we think he might go. So, Jared, I'll let you go first. Where do you think he's going to go?
I don't know. It seems like the Lakers are. If he's giving the Lakers this much of a chance with him, then how does he turn it down? Is it maybe it's him going, I'm just going to give them a chance because maybe they'll somehow change my mind. But if he's sitting down at the table with them, then I feel like he's got to have them as the most likely destination.
It's funny because I think that obviously the Anthony Davis signing had to have changed the whole conception of his. Or how about this? Sure. Do you believe last year when there was talk of the Lakers maybe trying to get Kawhi or whatever, finally he's going to go to Lakers, and it seemed like the reporting was that he didn't want to do that, and it sounded like it was because he didn't want to play alongside LeBron. So do you believe that was true?
Yeah, probably.
Okay.
Probably.
So if that is true, I believe it's true. I believe that most of these guys don't want to play. Paul George did not want to play with LeBron. So what changed? Obviously, Anthony Davis must have changed, and he must have thought to himself, wow, we can have a front court of LeBron, me, and Anthony Davis. Damn the rest of the team. Anybody else is going to play alongside him? Caruso being the starting point guard. That must be intriguing to him. But, man, if he stays in Toronto and Danny Green resigns, because I think Danny Green is holding out for Kawhi. Is that a safe bet?
Yes.
Okay. So that's the other question is, since Danny Green hasn't signed anywhere, that could very well mean that Kawhi, that Toronto's still in play.
Yeah, of course. They're absolutely still in play. And
okay.
I think Danny's probably going to follow him wherever he goes. And that's what's great for the Lakers is they can probably get Danny for probably the vet min or something like that. I don't really know what he's going to do, but I think.
Oh, I see. So he'll tag along to LA. That would be really interesting. They would need him.
Exception at that point for their options. They need a point guard. He's not a point guard, but they do need one.
No, Danny Green has the 2 dribble rule. I mean, it might even be 1 dribble at this point, meaning you can't dribble any more than 2. Please. Okay. So I guess I haven't. By the way, I haven't said who I think he's going to go.
Go for it.
I'm going to stick with Toronto. I'm going to stick with my premonition and just say Toronto, and then probably be wrong.
All right.
I don't know.
It's not a problem. No, I mean I would love to see him go back there. I think that'd be great. But why don't we go back to your conversation? Work through these top teams here. We have to talk. We haven't even talked about Philadelphia, who is the big winner, the big juggernaut.
Are they the big winner?
I think so. I mean,
they kept Tobias Harris. Yeah.
They kept Tobias Harris. They turned Jimmy Butler into Al Horford and Josh Richardson, which I think is a massive win.
And then they lost JJ, though.
They lost JJ, yeah. But if you look at that starting lineup, so they have a really weird shooting distribution there, but that team defensively could be absolutely amazing.
So Richardson's going to start.
Yeah, here, keep talking.
Okay, Richardson's going to start alongside Simmons, I guess, in the backcourt, and then they're going to do Harris, Embiid, and Horford. You don't pay Horford that much money and have him come off the bench, do you?
No, he's starting.
Okay, so Horford is not a shooter. I know you're going to come at me as a Celtics guy and say he is, but I don't think he creates the kind of spacing you need. Do you?
Yeah. Horford does. Yes, Horford is a. Last year, his shooting was a little bit off, and we'll see. We'll see if. Sorry, dealing with the text here. We'll see if Horford can continue to shoot well because he shot 37% from 3 after being a 40% before. But he's still even if he's not hitting the shots at a 40% rate, teams still defend him as he's an outside shooter. So.
He takes 3 a game, so it's not like a ton. But I know. But your point is going to be that his man will have to cheat out at that extra step and a half closer to him. I might look into the footage, and if I see enough, I might even do a video just to prove you wrong. But maybe you're right. But I don't. I just don't. My mind's eye is telling me that it doesn't create that kind of space, and they're happy to have him shoot it. And you know what? It could ever actually be a thing where it's like, okay, let's make him prove it a couple times, and then they change the spacing. So you might see it both ways during the course of a game. But I don't know. I don't know. You know, my whole thing about the Sixers is it's very possible simply that Simmons and Embiid are not the pairing that's going to get you to the promised land. That might very well be the issue. Not, you know, throw out everything else that they're trying to do here, I guess, but they're going to try and nail that circle into a square hole for another year. We'll see what happens. Do you think this is going to make them elevate them?
Yeah, I think they have a little bit better balance now. Josh Richardson is a perfect fit for for this kind of team where he's like that fourth or fifth starter on a championship team that just gives them that edge. And I mean, Jimmy, it's funny because he and Jimmy Butler are like kind of similar, except Butler's just a more dynamic scorer than he is. But they're similar size, great tenacity, can really attack and kind of be that heartbeat of the team. But he doesn't. I don't think he takes away from what Tobias Harris can do offensively in the way that Butler did. That balance is really difficult for them. So,
Okay.
this also puts a ton of onus on Tobias Harris to demonstrate that he is a bona fide third scorer or second scorer, I guess, on a contending team. And then, of course, it's just really simple. Like for Ben Simmons, he needs to have 10 to 15 feet of shooting range. He needs to be able to pull up for a shot outside of the paint. That's just all he needs to be able to do.
Yeah, I agree. And even inside the paint, where sometimes he'll give up those. But they also must stop throwing him in a dunker spot and having him play like a power forward from the 80s. It's ridiculous to think that they would say, well, he can't shoot, so we can't use him in the half-court offense. It's insane. And we've seen moments where they get it and where he'll actually exist in the high post. I mean, heck, throw it down low in the low post. Let him post up. Let him do something because he's good. And they don't do it. It drives me insane. We have two other super chats I want to make sure we shout out real quick. The Pioneer, thank you so much. MVP favorite for next year. I'm hoping it's 2016 Steph. And then Avery Seltzer, thank you again for it says, does Malcolm Brogdon move the needle in Indiana? So, yeah.
Well, so I think the needle is just kind of like flummoxing around the midpoint there because you take out Bogdanovich, you put in Brogdon, a little bit different skill set, but like I think pretty comparable contributors, I guess. And hey, didn't Brogdon get paid more, right? So
Yeah.
although that has to do a lot with just him being a restricted free agent. So that I feel like what really moves the needle for them is just that they're going to get Victor Oladipo back. That's the only. I think everything else is kind of a wash or evening out.
Well, no, but remember, because Carlson decided to retire to go off on his religious fulfillment, they needed someone like that to come in and because Carlson really did help them and steady the ship. So I think that was really important. And I think on the flip side, I thought it really hurt the Bucks. Because I know he's not healthy all the time, but when he was the steadying influence they needed with a guy like Bledsoe out there who became unplayable in the playoffs. And now what do? You're going to have the Eric Bledsoe show in the fourth quarter now in these in the conference finals. I'd be a little bit concerned if I were the Bucks. What moves did they do? I'm forgetting now. They lost. First of all, they lost Mirotic.
Yeah, Mirotic left. They just kind of ran it back, except for that they lost Brogdon.
Yeah, I'm telling you, that's going to be big for them, even though he was injured and did miss some time. They're going to have to figure something out there, I think, to find that another guard off the bench to fill in for them. Oh, no, I'm sorry. They did sign George Hill. So they got him again. And that was also, I thought, very big. And so we'll see how that plays out. But I honestly feel like the Bucks got hurt there. And I'll answer really quickly with the needle in Indiana. It's a little bit tough because Indiana's almost flipped their whole lineup now. I mean, they lost Bogdanovich, they lost Turner. That young, and now they bring it, but they get Oladipo back. So I don't know. The jury is out for that. Let's answer the real quick question: MVP favorite next year. Who do you think might be who's the favorite right now?
That's a
crazy
question.
early.
God, Anthony Davis probably.
Oh wow, interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it's
interesting.
I think the options are AD, Kyrie, Steph, obviously Steph.
Right.
And then, Giannis, obviously Harden will be up there.
Yeah.
And then who's a good dark horse candidate? I mean, Embiid definitely will be a big one.
Yeah. Okay.
I would almost want to put Embiid or why? No.
I'll choose Embiid. Although, yeah, Kawhi. I mean, you know, it's interesting. Now, if Kawhi goes to LA, then nobody wins it on LA. That's the thing.
Yeah.
So that's the question. And that's the other thing with AD. It's like, well, if he's playing alongside LeBron, that might be tough. You know, a little bit tougher for him to get all the numbers he wants for that. But maybe. Gigolo Puff, big shout out to you for being out there again to help us really clean up this YouTube chat because, man, there's a lot of stuff going on in there that we have to clean up. So thank you out there for that. And we haven't talked about everything yet. What's another thing we can talk about? Another deal that's happening?
There's so many things. One, Mark Stein just reported that Klay Thompson's deal is still going to go through.
I told you.
Go.
The Mavericks are going to get Kelly Olynyk and Derek Jones from the Heat as part of the Jimmy Butler sign and trade. Wait a minute.
So
how did that work?
That's what I'm getting texts on right now. I'm trying to get that all figured out. But
okay,
looks like,
how did the Mavericks all of a sudden get involved in that?
Well, so they have their cap space and they can take some players into it. It was initially reported that there was going to be Dragic, so I'm guessing that it's not going to be Dragic.
Okay.
Sorry, I'm getting a phone call from one of my sources. I'll have to call them back. But
well, you let me know. And then we have Ed Davis, the 2-year deal with the Jazz. Okay, we haven't talked about the Jazz at all because they've done some moves, and the Jazz fans have been really, you know, upset at me for not doing a video on Conley to the Jazz, and it kind of was a shrug for me. But they also got Bogdanovich, the Boyan, and what else did they do?
You know what? I think I have to take this actually. One sec. I might have something when I get back. So
okay.
You can talk.
All right. I'm going to switch to my single view of me then while you talk. Here we go. Okay. So, you know, hey, live show. And I don't even have that much time. The wife wants to have some go out to see a movie tonight. And so I'm going to try and do that. Has anyone here seen Yesterday? Because I really would like to see it. And I'm a little bit worried about the Rotten Tomatoes number. But so you can let me know in the chat. I'll find that out. But, okay, so that is a real concern. What were we just talking about? Oh, let's talk about this. Portland. So I kind of had this weird fantasy that Rodney Hood was going to sign with the Warriors, and they'd run it back. But Portland got the Warriors. Portland got Rodney Hood, and they also did something else. Someone else tell me what they did. And so all of a sudden, they really improved. And they let Aminu go. So I think that's a real net positive for them, honestly. I think Aminu was going to be the guy that wasn't going to get them where they needed to go beyond where they were. He was kind of holding them back. Even though he could play some defense, he could put some shots in from three. I just felt like he just was the guy. And now that you're going to bring Hood back and let him have that position, I think that's big. I think that'll really help them going forward and make that next jump. So I'm really excited about Portland, and they might be the sleeper. They can't be a sleeper because they did so well this year anyway. But I do feel like, and thank you, Bazemore. So Evan Turner, I want to say this. I don't like his game. I really felt like as soon as he got there, it kind of changed the dynamics in a bad way. But I want to give him as much credit as possible for they must have sat him down and said, listen, like this needs to be your role where you're not going to shoot and you're going to kind of run the second team and make some nice passes and get us organized, and every once in a while maybe you get a post up. And he did that, and I thought he did well in that, and he actually really helped in the playoffs a couple of those games. So I do want to do that. Now, Bazemore is infuriating on another level too, in that sort of in that Bledsoe thing where, man, he can throw like just really inaccurate passes or just turn the ball over, take wild shots. But maybe they can do the same Vulcan mind meld on Bazemore they did on Turner for once, and like get him to play, the way they need him to play. And I think that could happen. And then all of a sudden you have a guy who can play some defense. He's a good athlete. He can make plays. So I think that Portland is now, really Neil O'Shea deserves a ton of credit. I don't even know if he deserves it the most today because certainly what Sean Marks did in Brooklyn counts for just a massive thing. But Neil O'Shea very quietly, very low key, did some serious movement there. So really big thumbs up to him. And if you're a Portland fan, you should be pretty excited about that. Let's see here. I'm in the chat now. Let's see what we got here. What's the Pelican lineup with 3 guards? Okay, so the Pelicans got JJ Redick. They have, let's just pretend they're all healthy. And they have Drew Holiday, and then they have Lonzo Ball. You could go those 3 because Lonzo is tall. He could play like the 3, on defense, and then sort of fill it in, and that would be interesting. I think what the key here is that Gentry is going to have a lot of options if they keep this team the way it is. They're going to be very versatile across the board here. So I think that they could actually be really fun. And I showed you that video if you didn't see it with Zion Williamson, how he'll fit. So I think that they're going to be really fun to watch. By the way, just I'm throwing it out there. I have to do the little shout out, and I'll put it in the link in my next video on YouTube. But I'm going to be doing a thing with a company where you could actually send me a video of your shot, and I will then record my analysis of it. And if you don't know, like, I'm a shot doctor. It's mostly so much what I do is study the jump shot and the mechanics, and I'm able to help people. Like sometimes I'll go to the park and I'll literally just start helping people, and I have to film that next time I do that. And like they look at me like I'm like magic because all of a sudden the shots start going in. So I can do that for you. It's a new thing we're going to set up where you can send me in the video, and I will then record a video on top of it. Maybe I'll draw some lines to show you some ideas with some voiceover so you can see what I mean. I think that will help. So are you going to be interested in that? Does that sound interesting to you? Because I don't know what it's going to be like, but it sounds like something that'd be really cool. Now, Jared, are you back?
I'm back.
All right, let me bring you back in. All right, we have Jared back. So talk to me, Jared.
Unfortunately, I wasn't able to get anything I can use at the moment, but there's definitely some movement happening on one of the big free agents out there. So hopefully we'll be able to.
Well, okay. So it has to be. Well, there's only Boogie Cousins and Kawhi Leonard left.
Oh, there's a few others, but
big. You said big, right? Who else is out there that's any bigger than that or big?
Well, I'm not obviously, but so really interesting rumors coming out. Woj just saying that Nerlens Noel has asked OKC for time to reevaluate his earlier commitments. Interesting.
Wait, say it again.
Nerlens Noel has asked OKC for time to reevaluate his. Basically, he's backing out. He's going to go to the Lakers, is what it sounds like. And then Shams is reporting that
Dragic is staying in Miami,
and that Robin Lopez might go to Milwaukee to back up his brother.
Okay, there's a move just to do a move, I guess. Oh, wow. Okay. You know what? It wouldn't be today without weird stuff like that. But so I don't know which one's weirder, that one or the Rose going to the Pistons. But wow. Okay. Now, we were talking about Boogie. We didn't talk about Boogie Cousins. What's his story? Why hasn't he made a decision?
That's a really interesting one. So there's a couple ways that can play out. It could be a 2-year deal with the Knicks. It could be a whatever year deal with Golden State. And then from there, it's really hard to figure out where it goes from there. That's a really tricky one. Boston probably won't be interested just because of the history there, but they do have a significant need at the 5 spot and would make him the starting 5 for them. So that's one place where you can start for a contender. Boston, we didn't even get to them yet in that discussion of the East, but Boston right now is sitting at that tier just below the other contenders there, it looks like. But although the funny thing with Boston is that now that they've switched out Kyrie with Kemba, even though they lost Horford, which hurts them a lot, by getting Hayward back fully healthy, which is what you would expect at this point, although we were kind of saying that last year, but at this point he must be fully healthy. It usually takes a year to recover. Point is, they could actually execute the offense that everybody was talking about them doing before last season, which is something I wrote about on The Athletic. Go check it out, plug for my article. And maybe they really can contend by running that Stevens offense to a T, but it's hard to imagine right now where they not only do they not have like a starting caliber big, they don't have any bigs on the roster right now that you would consider to be rotation caliber. Because
you got Tice baby.
Well, Tice seems like he wants to go back to Europe. So,
really? Okay. I saw the reporting that they offered him, and it just seemed like, yeah, he's going to come back. But maybe you're right. Listen. I look like this, and I'm crazy acting today because I was staring at the Kemba footage all day, and I haven't even weighed in on how I think that Kemba could work in Brad Stevens' offense. So let's do that. And also, I just adjusted your volume, so let me know if he's better now and loud enough, guys, in the chat on YouTube. And you know what? We missed a really quick. Let's do Debts Without Regret super chat. Thank you so much. And he said, "Do you think that KD Kyrie personalities will collide?" All right, let's quickly answer that. Kyrie is a weird bird. KD seems like magnanimous, but also a guy who can get in your face and let you know how you feel. So maybe Kyrie has heard all these rumblings, and maybe he will be a little more attentive to being a better teammate. What do you think?
Kyrie has got to change, and I don't know. I don't know if last year is going to change things for him, but he must learn from what happened last year. He must recognize that even though And I maintain this even though the last thing that I wrote got aggregated as me saying that Kyrie was the problem. I was saying that Kyrie was a big problem with the team, but was one of many problems. But like, this was a team that had a lot of issues last year, and Kyrie he really struggled to make the most of it. He struggled to deliver the message in a way that would actually work. And there's a lot of guys of his caliber that are able to actually pull that off, and he wasn't able to. So he's got to figure out a way to make that work. But I think he's at least on a team where the fit will be a lot cleaner.
Right. And this, I was just looking at a random comment from Sebediah 23. Horford shoots a lot of threes. He does not shoot a lot of threes, and that's the issue. So that's what we made the point of before. So let's change this narrative. But let's get back to Kemba in Boston, because I am an expert on this subject. I've stared at 1,000 clips today. I have a 1,000-yard stare because of it. So let's talk about that. I went back and looked at how Kemba attacked. Now, first of all, I was a little bit mortified looking at the Charlotte offense, because all of his pick and rolls are literally just double high ball screens out of horns, like 70% of them. It was very unimaginative. They didn't have a lot of the Spurs stuff. I dug deeper and I did finally see some more like handoffs and some pin down, some pistol stuff, which is good. And he definitely seems really comfortable, like coming across the court off of a screen into a handoff and then attacking the middle. And that's the stuff that we saw from, guess who? Isaiah Thomas. And so if we can get back to the Isaiah Thomas offense, I think that Kemba is going to be, now he's already producing a ton of points and all the different stuff, but I think it'll be a lot easier for him, especially with other guys like Tatum and Brown and anybody else. Who else do they have as a shooter on the Celtics?
Right now?
Nobody?
Let's see. Tatum, Hayward. Oh, wow. Sorry. Screw this conversation. New Orleans is closing in on an agreement with Derek Favors, according to Zach Lowe, which is...
Wait, what about Derek Favors?
Shit. Derek Favors is going to the Pelicans. The Pelicans, who just drafted Jackson Hayes, and we're like, well, he's a project. He's not going to start. He's going to the Pelicans, and the Pelicans are going to be like a good playoff team next year. I mean, Derek Favors was maybe the best free agent out there as far as value and fit for a lot of these playoff teams. I mean, I think he's the perfect guy to have as a modern center right now for good value. And he was the guy I was hoping Boston would get, just because I really like him, and I was hoping to get to watch him up close a lot next year. And he's just a great value add for the big. But
I thought Derek Favors was under contract for one more year. Am I crazy?
They had to waive him to pull off the Bogdanovich deal, and all the deals are pulling off.
Oh, I missed that. You know what? Forgive me, Jazz fans. Wow. Okay. What New Orleans wants to win a title?
Right?
Like that's a deal you do to win a title.
If they don't get Kawhi in LA, the Hornets have a chance to already be, or at least already have a better record than the Lakers after making the AD trade. Wow. And that would make David Griffin the greatest GM of all time. I mean, not really. It's a long way to go, but still, that would be so unbelievably insane. And
by the way, well, no, the moves he's already made have been stunning. I mean, listen, Zion drafting him is easy, but like, everything else he's done to put this together have all worked beautifully for him so far. So I mean, it's funny because Sean Marks has been doing terrifically. We have a lot of. Oh, by the way, what you missed when you were on the call was I talked about Neil O'Shea and what an amazing job he did there to replace Elton. Help me, Turner. What's his first name?
Miles?
No, Turner from Portland. Evan Turner, thank you. And Aminu with re-signing Hood and then bringing in Bazemore. I'm really impressed with that, and I really think that should deserve some extra mention, which I did, which you missed. But hey, we have another super chat, a big super chat. Thank you so much from RBI 241. Does Kawhi waiting on his free agent decision, doesn't that put some kind of hole on D'Angelo Russell's free agency and the Raptor and Lakers for adding in depth? Well, yeah, without question, the Lakers are stuck in a holding pattern until Kawhi makes a decision anyway, right?
Yes.
And they have all these other balls in the air. Now, that got sorted out, right? That this trade is going to get executed on the 6th or something?
Yeah, that got sorted out. Here's what I can say right now. So I think there's a sequence of events right now with it goes Kawhi and then D'Lo.
Wait a minute. Remind me though, the Lakers. Oh, the Lakers can come to an agreement, right, with Kawhi. They just can't do the deal until the 7th or whatever.
Yeah, let me say for every free agent.
Oh, right. Okay, right. These are all the announcements, right? Okay, that's why it's not. Okay, never mind. So that's not why they're waiting on this. Okay, so keep going.
Yeah. So So it goes Kawhi and the D'Lo. That's that clear hierarchy there. It's probably
Okay.
another, maybe Boogie is part of that hierarchy too. And I'm sure there's one other person I'm forgetting, but
Right, but wait,
uh,
but that said, how is the D'Lo thing connected? Because it's all about Wiggins then, right? Moving Wiggins.
so there is that right there. But if D'Lo, D'Lo might be on board with Minnesota, but if he can go be that big three in LA, then that's the other part of that. Part of that. So maybe he still wants to see if he can get a max in LA. And if in Minnesota, I'm not. I have to go double check this, but even if they were, I mean, you don't only have to get rid of Wiggins. There are other ways that you can try to move off of it. And actually, I can't even remember right now if they've moved Gorgie Jang or not yet. I'm gonna have to double check.
I
that
had
while I
not seen
talk.
his name come across anything.
But so, point being is they can find other ways. Yeah, he's still on the Wolves. Okay, they can find ways to try to clear space,
Huh.
and so I mean, moving Wiggins would probably be easier than moving Jang. I mean, Jang's already 29 and kind of peaked as a player, but so I think that I won't rule out that Laker return for D'Lo until the door is completely closed.
Okay. Really? Okay. Interesting.
No
All right.
matter
Well,
how far down the road he might be with Minnesota.
wow. Okay, fine. Because it sounds like him and Kat are like, doing shots at the bar already, ready to go. So they might have already assumed it's happening.
You're not far off from what's actually happening.
Oh, okay. So that must be what's going on with your phone buzzing. Razvan Illy, I think, another from Canada, Canadian super chat. These are even better. May have missed it, but what's next for the Clippers? Man, the Clippers and the Knicks. Well, actually, you know what? The Knicks got Randall. The Clippers are going to strike out here, aren't they?
Yes. Well, it depends on what happens with Kawhi. And the Clippers, their plan this whole time has been
Kawhi.
shoot for the moon. And then if you don't land at the stars, or I guess I can't remember how the metaphor is supposed to work, but if you don't hit there, then you roll over until 21, the way that the Knicks are doing. And the Knicks, ironically, did the same thing and then just went with Randall, and they're just kind of going with Randall for 2 years as they roll over that cap space.
Right. Okay. It just doesn't feel like the Clippers have a chance with Kawhi. Now, what do we know about Kawhi in the meetings? Because I don't know if did you touch on that yet? As far as he agreed to do a meeting with the Knicks.
Yes.
Right. He agreed to a meeting with the Lakers.
Wait, Kawhi?
Kawhi.
No, not Knicks.
Not Knicks.
No, I think it's just the LA teams in Toronto, as far as I know.
Okay, fine, fair enough. I thought I said something with Knicks, but okay.
No.
Okay, so LA teams and then Toronto. So, do we know when those are all happening? Like tonight?
It's not really clear, but I think over the next couple of days.
Okay,
Probably
so I guess that must be what it
arrives.
is. He wants to get wine and dine, and they're going to wait until he gets his whatever. It's just fine, but man, that's going to be. Well, you know what? I need that extra time because I have too many videos to do now.
Yeah. And apologies. Someone mentioned I'm ending my sentences at 0 volume. It's because I'm trying to read all this stuff that's coming in. So my apologies.
Oh.
But it is a thing my mom always mentioned. So they are right. And my voice is a little hoarse because I've been on the phone all day long. But
okay. And I turned you up a little bit because I was a little too low. So I turned you up. So,
I'm trying to talk right into the mic to be better.
Right.
But one thing to clarify, I don't know if I've clarified this yet. Goran Dragic is no longer in the trade, in the Jimmy Butler, Josh Richardson three-way swap. Instead, Kelly Olynyk and Derek Jones are going to be going to Dallas. And I was told that what happened was apparently they hit some sort of glitch in the deal. And so it looks like Dragic was originally in the deal. They realized that it wasn't going to happen. And so they had to redo the deal. So the deal did hit a snag there within the last hour. And which is one of the things I was getting texted about that I had to go for a sec. But
okay.
But it looks like they've ironed everything out. So it looks like the deal is back on. And I know it's being reported as the deal is good to go, but I still haven't heard 100%, but it certainly appears to be the case.
Right. That makes sense. Now, JaVale McGee meeting with the Pistons too. All right. So the Pistons are really trying to keep themselves relevant somehow. But I don't know if that does anything for them. Now, JaVale, there is value for him, but certain teams probably could use him who are better. But I guess it's, the Lakers don't want to bring him back, it sounds like. Or is it the wait?
Yeah, but who cares about JaVale? Let's not even waste.
All right, yeah, because we only have a few more minutes left because the wife wants me to get out of here and go to the movie. And apparently yesterday is really good, so that makes me feel good. So, all right. What else we could talk about then? We kind of covered everything. Are there any other super chats? Make sure. No.
One thing that was interesting is the Spurs just continued the Spurs.
Yeah.
Right as
Yeah.
someone mentioned
Damari
something in the
Carroll.
chat about it. So Damari Carroll, they restock with Rudy Gay. I'm wondering if they're going to find something here at some point, but maybe they get an RFA. Although I can't remember the last time the Spurs signed an RFA away.
Right.
But
Well,
it,
it's amazing when Tim Duncan retires. It's like, you know, they're not as good. No one, right? They're just sort of an average team.
yeah, I guess that's the case. And they lost Kawhi, obviously.
And they
All right,
lost
you know what?
Kawhi.
Yeah, let's pivot out of this Jazz hype hashtag. Take note. Are the
Oh,
Jazz
there we go. Yeah.
are the Jazz the best team in the Western Conference now?
Oh boy. Well, I think the Rockets are still there, and Clay, the Warriors are still somewhere there, even without KD. I think. You know what? I don't know. The Jazz. You know what? I don't know. The Jazz aren't the Jazz until they're the Jazz. Until they convince me. I'm just not sold. You know what? It's a Rudy Gobert thing for me, and I hate to say it. And I know the Jazz fans freak out at me whenever I mention anything negative about Gobert. But I just wonder if he's the guy. By the way, speaking of which, it almost feels like Kemba must have something against Gobert, because when I was looking at footage of him, he embarrasses Gobert sometimes out there. He embarrasses him, laying it up and right in front of him and right by him and whatever. He can't do anything to him. Now, I'm sure there are probably some clips where Gobert gets the best of him too, but I don't know. I'm watching clip after clip against the Jazz. I'm like, I can't believe it. So what do you think about the Jazz?
I love them. I've loved this Jazz team, and Conley, and I just think that Conley and Mitchell together will be just so perfect. You have Conley can also run pick and roll really well with Rudy, and then you have Boyan and Ingles, who are fairly similar players here, but they now stretch the floor really well. They kind of have a little bit of everything here. Jingles is one of my favorite players in the league. I feel like you've said that before too, right?
Absolutely. Well, listen, I thought he was going to be like an all-star after the first couple games last year. And it's worth looking into what happened, because he looked like he could be a 20-point-a-game scorer, and then just kind of, I don't know, whatever. Like, remember they had the first half of the season was just like I guess it was tough for them, but it was disappointment for him for sure.
Yeah, and Utah last year, I think that they underwhelmed a little bit more than where I thought what I thought they were going to do in the playoffs. But and Mitchell had that kind of up and down year where he started off slow and then was dominant in the second half of the year. I think the big thing with them is that they've got two guys in Conley and Mitchell who you just know can be unstoppable on any given night. And I think that's what's so spectacular about when you have a 2-star system, is that you have that remarkable potency that in a playoff game, when you have both those guys going at the same time, you can be completely unstoppable. And that's like kind of the one edge that the Jazz have never had, even though they've had a really good system and they've had good balance. So this is like kind of like the perfect balanced team that you've been waiting for them to become, and they now have that firepower to go over the top.
For sure. And RBI 241, another super chat. Thank you for being so generous. How many teams are getting ready for the 2021 free agency? We also have Debts Without Regret, another one. Both you guys are repeat super chatters. Thank you. And then can Kawhi flying solo go for another title? What did you just say? I wanted to respond to that. Now I'm forgetting what we were just talking about.
I was saying that Utah is great.
Oh, yeah, Utah. Well, by the way, speaking of all the Utah stuff, we haven't mentioned Denver once. And part of the reason was because they haven't signed anybody, although they did re-sign.
Well, they retained Millsap, which I think is a significant move.
Yeah, and that was important. And they're stacked. And I think that maybe Jamal Murray went through the fire that he needed to go through and is finally figured it out. And you could see that he was still. He wasn't ready yet, and maybe there was enough inching along that path where now he's going to come back. I think he should be. So they might be the best team in the West. That feels like not a hot take either. But let's see, how many teams are getting ready?
Last year,
what's that?
Weren't they the second seed last year?
Yes, they were. Wait, did they beat? Didn't they have the first seed over the Warriors, or they had the second seed? No, the Warriors were not the first seed, right?
So were they the first seed? Wow. It just shows how little we give a shit about NBA standings.
I will tell you right now, the Warriors were the first seed. Not my fault. The Nuggets. That seems weird.
The Nuggets were the first seed for a while, then the Warriors came back to take it.
Okay, yeah. So they were 3 games back. So that's not a hot take at all. They could definitely be there. But by the way, the Blazers improved, and they were right there. And then they took them down in the playoffs. So I don't know, man. You know what? This is probably the best we've ever had across the board for the NBA.
Agreed.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, at least as far as I can remember, the parity should be amazing. And it honestly, the irony is that the parity is amazing, and it's not like you're redistributing the talent away from the Warriors because the two guys that made the Warriors extra special are just out. So the parity is going to be great across the league, and you didn't really have to do much. The league just kind of took care of itself, and I think that's just what happens when you have kind of a much more manageable cap space environment.
Mhm.
And one of the things that I was worried about coming into this free agency would be that the middle class would really of the NBA would get really hurt here because you would have a lot of guys going into large swaths of cap space, and there wouldn't be a lot of money left over for the middle guys in between the max salary and then the mid-level exception. But I think what you're seeing is that there are just some guys who couldn't get the max, like Nick Vucevic. Jimmy Butler was not going to get the max from Philadelphia. That's why it was no surprise to see him getting traded. Um, oh wow, Mario Hezonja just signed a 1-year deal with the Blazers. That's a fun one. We'll get to that. We'll get to the Blazers in a minute because the Blazers
All
are
right, but we got to wrap up.
okay.
Oh,
But we're seeing that
maybe not.
sign and trades seem like they were going to be this like thing of the past after the last CBA, and today we've seen so many different sign and trades getting worked out. I think we have at least 3 of them, right? It's the Brogdon one, the Kemba for Terry Rozier one, and then the Jimmy Butler for Josh Richardson one.
Right.
Unless I'm forgetting another sign and trade. But so there is I think that teams are figuring out a way to, maybe because the max salaries are so high, they're figuring out a way to manage these negotiations where we're actually kind of seeing the middle salaries stay put, and so that's why you saw Vucevic not get that full. I think he didn't get the full max, right? So
yeah, it's a microcosm of America where the rich are, because the divide between the upper class and the middle and lower classes just keeps growing. It doesn't surprise me. By the way, Mike Muscala is going to go to the Thunder, so maybe that's tied into the Nerlens Noel thing for some weird reason. So
those two pieces of news came out like one after another. I think they were both from Woj. So
yeah. So all right. Well, all of a sudden the wife does not want to go to the movie, so maybe I'm here for a few more minutes. But we're getting a little bit long in the tooth on this one anyway. We do have a super chat though, I believe. Did I miss one? No. Well, yeah. Let's answer those questions that they so nicely asked. First, how many teams are getting ready for the 2021 free agency? Who are the bottom of the barrel? Who are not? Are going to try and next year?
Knicks are clearly doing it. The Clippers are doing it if they lose Kawhi.
Yeah, I mean, Phoenix just signed Ricky Rubio, but like they're probably doing it, right?
Yeah, Phoenix probably is going to. Rubio got a 3-year deal. I was surprised on that one.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. I think that Atlanta is positioning themselves to be a major contender in 21. I think that the cap will. I think that their rookie contracts will generally be lining up with that.
But they're going to have a hard time keeping them down. I'm telling you, this year, I think that they're going to be really good. They're going to, they're going to play well.
So they could have a lot of guys whose cap holes aren't that huge, where they could still have a max slot and then give rookie deal or second deals to like their big stars. Like, because I think John Collins will be hitting the market at that point.
Mm-hmm.
He might be away, but so the point is, it all lines up very nicely for them to be a star destination. And we know that NBA players love Atlanta. Whether it's because they love going to the strip clubs or whatever it is, but like they love Atlanta. And I think Atlanta is in great shape to be like a juggernaut in a couple of years.
Absolutely. I'm all in on them. And I'm telling you, they're going to surprise people this year too. So those are the guys. Now, what was the second question here? It was, can Kawhi flying solo go for another title? I think Kawhi, Kawhi can't. Can he carry a team? So listen, was he solo in Toronto? You can kind of argue he sort of was, right? Siakam was up and down, and
I think that's what that question is saying. It's like, can he run it back in Toronto and win? The answer is obviously yes. The big reason why they won the title last year is because the Warriors were hurt. Like the Warriors are fully healthy; they were not going to lose that series.
Right.
So they got lucky that the injuries tied up the way they did. And as we said 4,000 times, so please don't kill me, Toronto fans, they played really, really, really well. They were not historically great, but they played very well. They were just really good enough to get past Milwaukee, that was a very good team, and then beat a hampered Warriors team.
Right.
And to their credit, they never let the series did not drag out like crazy. Like they had that one kind of like Ewing theory game where they played really well in wake of KD getting hurt, but then they eventually wore him down. They did a great job of wearing them down.
Yeah.
And so Yeah, Toronto is really good, and they still would be a title favorite, if not the best team in the NBA coming into next season. But there are other teams that are building up, and I mean Philly. I think that their potential is massive. Utah, they don't quite have the same potency, but they have huge potential. Denver, if they continue to evolve, Jokic continues to evolve, and Jokic, as amazing as he was, and I would have probably had him like fourth on my MVP ballot. He still has a long way to go to becoming a more complete player. So there's a lot of growth
Right.
for him there. There's
Yeah. It's crazy because this is, I mean, I'm telling you, this is the first time I can remember where there are so many like good teams in both conferences. I mean, it goes 7-8 deep. It feels like at this point. I think, is it the right count? Look
Yeah.
at the standings, right?
I just want to respond to a quick comment. Kawhi Leonard, great, appreciate him jumping to the chat, said that I need to stop being biased. I have no proof the Warriors would win. It's just assumptions. Raptors won and get over it. They get credit. So, I mean, I just like made the disclaimer of, yeah, they get credit. They were great and they played really, really well. I think everybody in the world would agree with me that if the Warriors were fully healthy, that they probably would have won that series. The
Yeah.
series wasn't a blowout for Toronto. It was somewhat close, and Toronto and Golden State was missing two of their core four. So it's not a crazy thing. It's most likely that they probably would have won, but they didn't. And Toronto gets all the credit in the world for playing great basketball. And
Right.
while the series was going on, we were just commending Toronto for every little thing that they were doing. It was a slobber fest for Toronto.
Right. But by the way, it's not biased when you say that. It's a reasonable take to say that, like, the Warriors were healthy, that
Yeah.
they caught them at a great time for them.
And just quickly,
yeah.
the same person's commenting again, mocking me, saying that the Raptors were not going to beat the Bucks. I said before that series that I think I said in the first round that Toronto was my favorite to make the finals, and I think I even said going into that Raptors Bucks series that the Raptors were going to win the series. So
Okay.
I don't really give a crap about people thinking I'm biased happens all the time, but it's fun to get to fight them in real time. So sorry, continue.
Okay, fair enough. I mean, people are weighing in. Anyhow, well, let's move on to another topic then, can we? Let's see, while we still have some more time here, given that I'm not leaving here now. One thing that is interesting to me though is that in theory, like the two teams that were primed to like have a rebirth are now the Clippers and the Knicks could very well just be having to reboot again. And I mentioned Boogie Cousins, but I can't remember. I feel like we didn't say anything about like what his plan is or where he's going to go.
I just don't really care.
Okay.
It's like I think he's the likelihood of him. Oh, someone called me Jared Lies. That's really funny. Oh, I like that a lot. It's good.
Well,
I
Jared Lice.
yeah, well, I guess you can go either way. It's funny either way. It's a good one. I think that just the likelihood of him getting back to being like a 26-12 guy is probably small just because of his conditioning. The chance of re-injury, I think, will be permanently high with him, which we already saw because of his conditioning. And you know what? Maybe he's had an epiphany, and so maybe once he gets fully healthy, he'll continue to improve his conditioning and finally get better. But that's never really been the case. And Boogie, I think there were some positives this year. I think that they were pretty happy with him in Golden State, and his contributions are great. And he played hard out there. He played hard on both ends, even if he was limited. So I think he definitely did a good amount to rehab his image around the league, which was kind of like it was almost as bad as it possibly could be. But I wouldn't want to commit a big multi-year deal to him. And
However,
think stuck with something small.
But we just talked about a team that really needs a big guy, somebody in your backyard.
Oh,
And I just noticed this in the
behind me
chat.
right now?
Jalen Glenn mentioned Boogie to the Celtics. Now, that could be something I could see and Ainge trying to pull off, maybe.
So I know that they never wanted him before back in the day.
Okay.
So maybe, but like I said, maybe their feelings about him have changed. But it's I think there's just a lot of risk in doing that, and I mean, you know what, Derek Favors is the best value for the money, big on the market. But if you can get Boogie for the mid level,
But wait, didn't Derek Favors just get moved?
well, no, he was the best value for the money.
Oh, I see.
You could argue Brook Lopez was too, although Brook got a pretty hefty payday. But so
I don't. Okay, let's talk about that for a second because he got what, 13?
yeah, right.
He got 13. Middleton gets 38.
Yeah, that's not crazy for him.
Well, to me, it seems like those two numbers should be a little closer together. Now, I understand that Middleton is the poster child for every team needs a player like that. You need the 6'8" guy who can play defense and can nail threes. So that should be the absolute gold standard what you need. So that's why he gets paid a lot of money. But the next thing you want is a big guy that can block some shots and shoot threes. And he's that seems like that's the unicorn. I can't believe that he isn't closer. Like those numbers don't jive with me. We have another super chat, though. Let's take care of that because we want to make sure we reward everybody here who does a super chat. Thank you so much to Blue Diamond Gem. He wants to know who in the West drops out of the 8 playoff spots, which is sort of what we talked about. I called it up here. I got my listing right here. Are you ready? The 8 were the Warriors, Nuggets, Blazers, Rockets, Jazz, Thunder, Spurs, Clippers. Who dropped? Well, that seems pretty easy, right? As of right now, the Clippers.
So you think okay? No.
I don't think that Kawhi is going to the Clippers. It doesn't feel like. I think he's either going to go to the Lakers or going to go to the Raptors, right?
Yeah, I think the Thunder and the Spurs, there's a good chance that they could fall out. Let's see. The Lakers are going to jump back in. The Wolves have an outside shot to jump back in. The Pelicans and Mavericks. I mean, shit. The West is really deep. Let's see. The only bad teams in the West at this point are Memphis and Phoenix. That's it. If Minnesota gets D'Lo, then they're going to be probably better than a 36-win team. So everybody in the West is going to be like a mid 40s to low 50s wins team. Basically, it's going to be like a couple of years ago where there was like 9 or 10 teams in the Western Conference that had 40 wins.
Right. I agree. But by the way, on the flip, so, okay, who's going to drop out then? So you mentioned, so it could be the Clippers, could be the Spurs, could be the Thunder, and that's 3 teams, which means 3 teams who need to move up. So obviously the Mavericks definitely have a big shot. The Pelicans seem like they're a lock to make the playoffs, I would think, if they're healthy. And then Minnesota's right there too. No, I'm sorry, we didn't mention the Lakers. Yeah, it's going to be and the Kings, you think that? Yeah, I guess you're right. Only because the Pelicans. I think the Pelicans healthy are a lock, but they're not. We don't know if they're a lock to be healthy. So
there's so many guys on the Pelicans that you just don't know what they're going to be able to do next year. Right. We don't know what Lonzo is going to be like. We don't know how healthy Brandon Ingram is going to be. Zion, we don't know if he's going to have some problems, but they're going to be. I think they're going to be really good. I think they're going to be like a 45-win team because they have a really nice complement of types of players. We know that Derek Favors is really good. Drew Holiday was an All-NBA caliber player last year. They've got some good depth and some nice rookies also. So, I mean, they seem like they're built to be a team that's going to jump at least like 10 wins up.
Yeah, I know. And on the East side, by the way, it's not as deep. I don't think we're looking at this because Charlotte's going to take a big drop down, and they didn't make the playoffs anyway.
Yeah, Detroit could make a step up. They're probably going to be the borderline playoff team.
Right.
Detroit and Orlando kind of just like maintain the status quo, essentially.
Right.
Atlanta's the only team that seems like they could make a big leap. They finish at 29 wins.
Right. The Bulls are clearly going to wait until 2021 at least. They signed Thaddeus Young, right?
Yeah. And so the top 6 of the East is probably going to stay up there in some order, one way or another. Even if the Raptors lose Kawhi, I think they're still going to be a mid-tier playoff team.
Yeah. Right. Now, Butler going to the Heat is intriguing, but they lose weight. I just think I'm not exactly sure why Butler wants to go to Miami like that, but do you have any feelings?
Apparently, the reason is first one is South Beach, and I know Josh Richardson is very unhappy that he's leaving South Beach. I mean, I think he'll be very happy in Philly. I think Philly's an amazing fit, but still. So South Beach, he wants to be Dwayne Wade again. He wants to follow in Dwayne Wade's footsteps. Dwayne Wade talked him into going to Miami. What Jimmy is about is he wants to get paid the most money he can, and he wants the whole place to revolve around him, and he wants to be able to be around people that he thinks are on his side and that are going to work as hard as he does. And so I don't think Jimmy cares about winning. I think he cares about having what he wants, which, if you think about his life story, you think about the fact that every other guy cares so much about winning or they care so much about making an MVP. I feel like with him, he just wants to kick ass on his terms and get paid a lot to do it.
All right, fair enough. Well, that sounds right to me. Now, there's also been reported that they need one more piece. It doesn't quite work with Jimmy Butler going to Dallas and Olynyk and Derek Jones going to Philadelphia. Going to Dallas. and then Richardson going to Philly. There's one. Obviously, the
But
salaries aren't
it's not
matching
going to
up.
be
But
Dragic. Yeah. So yeah, that deal hit a skid. It's going to be Kelly Olynyk and Derek Jones instead.
no, I know. But there's one. They need one more player involved. Apparently, Quentin
Oh,
Markstein.
yeah. So I think they're still working that out.
Yeah.
But
So
it's
maybe
gonna happen.
it will be
I know
Dragic,
the
but I don't know.
Sixers have already welcomed Josh Richardson to the team, which I should probably report actually.
Okay.
But so and someone just made a good point. I mean, they were kind of a dick about it, but they were saying that I said that the Raptors are going to be a mid-tier playoff team, and then they said that the squad was 17-5 without Kawhi Leonard. I am aware of that. This is kind of similar to a lot of the conversation about Terry Rozier and Kyrie Irving, where the Celtics were, I think, 11-3 when Kyrie Irving sat and Terry Rozier took over for him. The thing is, when you compare that kind of stuff, strategic rest usually comes against teams that aren't as good.
Right.
You strategically rest them when you think you have a better chance of beating those teams. So that's a big factor in it. And yeah, like Toronto is still a good team without Kawhi Leonard. And I think if they lost Kawhi, they probably win somewhere around 45 games, maybe as much as 50 games, maybe as little as 40 games. It would be a pretty good team.
Yeah.
So
no, great point.
It's not a hot take. I mean, if you say something reasonable about any fan's team, they're going to assume it's a hot take and a slap to the face. But
right. And then let's see. SB Elvin is asking if I'm not in the doghouse. No, the wife just texted me saying she doesn't want to go to the movie, which is fine. Too bad. I really wanted to go see yesterday. Maybe I'll go see it tomorrow because all the kids are away right now at camp. We've never had this before. It's amazing. So, and by the way, if you're going to have kids every once, you just do your damnedest, like from the time they're born, to get them ready to be going to a sleepaway camp at some point. Don't let them out. Don't let them out and say they can stay home during the summer. Okay, well, I think we covered everything. I mean, this has been over an hour, and it's been a great show, Jared. I don't know. I think otherwise people are going to get tired of hearing us drone on and on.
Sure. I guess let's just say one more thing, because a few people have really wanted to know what we think of Jonas Valanciunas staying in Memphis. And, I mean, it's not, like, the deal isn't crazy at all. Let me pull it up right now. He got 15 a year. It's not crazy at all. It's a 3-year deal at 27 years old. It takes him through age 30. Played really well there with them. He fits pretty nicely next to Triple J, but obviously I don't think we see that being the real future for them. They got Brandon Clark in the draft, who has huge potential. So their future front court is going to be Triple J and Brandon Clark. So I think with Jonas, it's you sign him for 3 years. You have 2 good years out of him. You can trade him that last year. You can trade him the year before that last year to a contender that wants a center at a pretty average rate.
True.
But he's a good leader. I don't think anyone ever thought of him as like a franchise leader, but he's a good tough-nosed player that is a good, he'll rub off on all those guys, and he does a lot of the stuff that Triple J doesn't really do. So Triple J can learn from him on his quest to become an All-NBA player.
Yeah, no, I like what they're doing. They have some nuggets there that that's the wrong word. They have some little pieces that are, slowly going to mix together. And John Morant should be terrific. So they are on their way. But again, they're 3 years off from being anything we could talk about seriously, or 2.5 years maybe. But we got one last question. I think that's pretty good here from Mick Walter 44. Are the Warriors at risk of missing the playoffs, or worse, to be the 7th AC with no lottery pick? That's interesting to me. And KD is gone. They're going to re-sign Clay, but he's going to be coming back. They have Draymond. They are losing Boogie most likely, right? Or maybe Boogie stays. I don't know. But it's kind of like what's their starting lineup? Is it going to finally be like Kevon Looney and Curry and Clay when he comes back, and then keep going with that?
I mean, I know Boston would really like to get Kevon Looney, so.
Yeah, well, that could happen too. So you know what? The Warriors are like one ankle sprain away from getting close to the bottom of that playoff bracket, aren't they?
Yeah. Here, okay. You want some news on the live show?
All right.
I'm being told that Miami is refusing to give up Derek Jones to Dallas, and that Dallas is telling people that the deal is going to be called off. So,
okay,
this is gonna.
Why is Jones such a valuable piece to this puzzle?
I don't really know, honestly.
Right. That's weird.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it's going to get resolved at some point. I think that Miami is. I mean, if Miami's refusing to give up Derek Jones, then they're gonna eventually cave in, because they need Jimmy Butler, and they're not gonna blow a Jimmy Butler deal over Derrick Jones. So that's going to be pretty interesting.
All right. Well, okay. I think our work is done here, Jared. And you probably have to get back and start writing some more articles.
Yeah, burning the midnight oil over here.
All right. Well, awesome stuff, everybody out there, and great stuff from you, Jared, as well. And really enjoyed the conversation. So, if you missed part of this or want to hear more of it again, we'll be reposting it as a podcast probably right now. Why not drop it right now? And other than that, what else? Anything else you want to say?
Everyone stay safe out there, and we will probably have another one of these coming in a couple days where we'll be together. Actually, I'll be with Coach Nick in LA, so we'll have our first ever live stream together. I don't even know how we set that up. Do we sit across from each other with cameras pointed at us?
I have other cameras and mics, and we'll have to. It'll be a little bit of a challenge, but we'll figure it out. Don't worry about it. And but yeah, that'll be fun. So we'll do that like on Tuesday. So stay tuned for that. And don't forget, sports fans, at B-Ball Breakdown, we're not a channel, we're a conversation. You win. Are you in, Jared?
I'm gonna go back, and then I'm in LA.